We are here for the Nightbirde Foundation Outing, and today we're doing a special 9 holes, 9 questions with the Wenzels, the executives of Ring Digital. These guys are awesome. PJ used to be my business partner for years. How many years ago now? 13 years ago?
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
But they're very successful in the political world and also in the corporate world. We're gonna have a lot of fun playing this golf outing, and our target score today is 18 under, so we'll track that and ask you guys some questions as we go. So
sure.
Let's have a great day.
It's gonna be fun.
Nice ball, Fritz. Nice, Alex. That's ripped. All right, so first question for us today, and Fritz, why don't you hop in the cart with me to kind of handle this question, but golf's obviously meant a lot to your family. Your whole family plays golf. You're in business together. What has golf meant to you guys, and when did you get these boys and your daughter, who's also a great player?
Yeah.
When did you get them all started playing golf?
Sure. I started playing when I was 12.
Okay.
And I taught myself. No one in my family played golf ever. And youngest of 3 boys. And so I just learned to love the game. And when we moved, I started my career in Portland, Oregon, started growing the kids in Portland, Oregon with my wife, Lisa. And what we did was we moved to Washington, D.C. briefly to take a political job, and then back into journalism at the Toledo Blade newspaper. Also wrote for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, okay. And owned by the same family. And I needed something that I could do with the kids that would unify us. I mean, here I'm taking my kids all the way across the country. They don't know anybody. And I love golf. And I had quit golf for about 10 years. And then here we are, a family kind of out on our own in unknown Ohio. And so we just started playing golf.
That's great.
And what we did to start was we went on a golf vacation.
Okay.
Up to northern Michigan, great golfing area. And what I decided to do was just try to figure out if the kids really liked this, we would know at the end of this week they'd either hate it or love it. And they loved it.
That's great.
So we came back, joined the club, and just went crazy after that.
And how old was PJ?
PJ's about 13 or 14 at that point.
Okay, great.
Just starting into high school, and kids were younger. It just took on a life of its own from there.
Fantastic.
And you can't predict with
Right.
golf.
Yeah.
You don't know.
My oldest son just graduated high school.
Yeah.
And for years I could never get him to go play golf. I've just never pushed it though.
Yeah.
And now he's 18 years old, and all he wants to do is play golf. All of a sudden, it just out of nowhere. He's got and I think what happens, he hit one good shot, and it just brings him back every time.
That's all it takes.
Good shot. Get up. It looks long, man.
Oh, good kick.
Yeah, the impetus for me wanting to play golf, obviously Dad played a long time. But I could get out of French class like 20 minutes early if I played golf.
Oh, there you go.
So I started my sophomore year, but I think it was maybe in that summer we played between, went up there.
So you went on that golf trip. You really hadn't played much at all before then.
No,
and then you went right to playing on the high school team?
Yeah.
That's great.
I was terrible. It was a lot of fun. And
I just started playing as a freshman in high school too, because my parents wouldn't let me play football, and I think I maybe broke 50 in one match. I shot a 49 one time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was definitely a high. It was like mid 50s.
Gotcha.
You know, low 50s. Then I think I got into like the 45, 43. You know, got a couple of those good rounds in.
The only reason I even got to play was because the field goal kicker on the football team was also on the golf team, and he had to mandatory go to practice twice a week. So if he had to miss a golf match, I'd get to be the sixth man. But getting to play all that golf for free as a high school kid was huge for me to start getting some confidence.
Yeah. Our first.
So you're what, 43 now?
Almost, yeah.
So for 29 years, you guys have been playing a lot of golf together.
Yeah, I hadn't counted, but yeah.
And Lindsay's a heck of a player.
Yeah, she is. She doesn't get to play much anymore, but she, last time I played with her, she was like 2 over par.
That's great.
She's
been very helpful on a few of our scramble teams through the years.
Yes, yes, she has. There you go.
It does move.
Oh,
It
great
moves.
effort.
Nice
Pushed it a
roll.
little bit.
All right, PJ, so second hole, second question. I think I turn here, right?
You're right.
No, wait. Oh, yeah, it is here. All right, second hole, second question. You know, you and I were business partners starting in, 2009? So from 2009 to 2012.
Yep.
And we sold the company.
Yep.
And our golf used to be, our golf trips used to be 6:30 in the morning going to the municipal courses in Columbus and playing before work.
The airport.
The airport course. And, you were living in the hilltop of Columbus, and I
That's
was
right.
in debt and couldn't pay my bills.
Yeah.
And I think we were really blessed to experience success, and you've continued to have great success. And what's really cool is that you've got a company here where you're in business with your family.
Yeah.
Your brother Alex is the head of the.
He's the COO.
COO.
Yeah.
And you're the CEO.
Got about 30 people.
Yeah. And your wife works in the business. Your sister's in the business. Your brother-in-law. So, what kind of success tips do you have for young entrepreneurs that want to get started in business? And has there been a lot of challenges working with family, or has it been pretty much a blessing most of the time?
Yeah, I think the hardest, those are kind of two separate things. I think, like, one, doing a family business when you've got everybody either working for you or you're working with them, like, you just have to have kind of a radical humility. Okay. You know, that's probably the most important thing when it comes to family.
That's the question is, how have you guys experienced success? What are some tips you have for young entrepreneurs? And also what challenges and or blessings have there been from working together as a family?
That's a lot.
It's a lot of questions.
This is par 5, so I think we'll have a lot of discussion.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say, taking in reverse order, I think it's been a lot of fun working with family because you've got, there's a baseline, a foundation where you can trust your family members. And, growing up, Dad worked really, really hard to provide. And we watched him do that. We watched him work 2 and 3 jobs at a time. And so we've always had a pretty good work ethic in our family. And we grew up, I think, PJ, this goes for you too, but I think we grew up with nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
You can achieve what you want to achieve, you just do it. And we had other good, influences, with our grandfather who was kind of the same ilk. But, having that foundation and knowing that if I'm taking something to PJ and he's going to have that same core belief, and taking it to Lindsay and, or if they bring something to me, they know that it's going to get done, So I think working with family has been a lot of fun because of that.
Yeah.
Before I joined the business.
Well, you have a good family. I think that's number one. If you're going to work with family, make sure that you
Make
get
sure it's a
along
good
well with
family.
your family.
Right.
Yeah. It's the shared values, and those that's not a given.
That's right.
Yeah, I think to the entrepreneurial question, do you really have a niche? Do you have something that is unique about what you're doing? And even if you're in a competitive commodity-based, environment, then, it's not like you can't make it, but you better have something. You
Right.
better have something special. I think the given baseline is you have to work harder than everybody else, right? You have to work hard You have to really want it, especially those first couple years. I mean, getting up on the plane.
Oh man.
You know, getting up. You got when Matt and I worked together. You know, it was like you get up at 4 a.m. You know, you get on the plane at 6 a.m. You get on Capitol Hill by 8 a.m. You know, it's plane, a train, a shuttle.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
It really is. And so, you know, we did that all the time.
Do you remember driving to Springfield, Illinois? In
Oh, that was terrible.
snowstorm?
Terrible.
I mean, we did all kind. We just did whatever it took, and I think the other big key to our success, I think, early on, is when we had our first signs of success. You didn't move out of that house.
Right.
I didn't go buy a new car.
Right.
We didn't join country clubs. That all came way later. We just bought a lot of Southwest Airlines tickets.
Right, we reinvested. Yeah,
reinvested in the business.
You reinvest in the business, and I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest engine for success for a young entrepreneur that you should know is like, yeah, you should put some money, get your money in, you know, wisely invested and do all that stuff. But like early on, you should be fueling your business.
Can't
You should
starve it.
putting it back on.
And we've had a big focus on value. You know, what's the value? Had a handful of other friends and stuff start businesses, and that's my first question. Like, what value are you bringing?
Yeah, what are you bringing?
And why can't someone just get that already?
Right.
I have a friend of mine starting a tour business. They live out west and they want to give tours and stuff. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you just find a podcast about that area and just listen to the podcast while you drive through that area, if that's the format? And he's like, oh, well, actually that exists, and here's this other app that's exactly that. And I'm like, so what are you doing? You know, what's the value you're adding?
Right.
And he didn't have a great answer. But that's something that we've stayed really focused on, is if we're not adding value, then if the value that we're adding isn't very clear, or if it's not distinct from what everybody else is doing, then, you know, our unique sales proposition goes out the window.
Right. Well, another thing is that when we started doing, you know, we do digital buying in a really unique way, right? When we started doing it the way we do it, we thought, you know, the number one reason is going to be X, Y, Z. Like this is what gets us out of bed in the morning. This is so exciting. We found out that our clients really didn't care about that.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't care about, you know, skipping bot traffic, and, you know, they didn't care about how many, you know, people saw the ad. What they cared about was like ROI. That's all they care about. Like, how much am I paying and how much am I making? You know, that's, you know, in the corporate world. But what we learned from that was we started asking them, well, how would you like to pay for this product? How much would you pay for that? And we have really honest clients tell us, like, you're not charging enough, and I'd rather pay this way. And so that really helped us completely change the way our whole model of pricing in the corporate space.
We'll talk about that for a second. So I want to be careful not to say, because if I say the majority of your business is not political, I don't want people to think you guys aren't big players in politics, because you are. Your firm does a lot of work for my firm and our clients, and love working with you guys. You have a lot of great political clients. But how did you kind of transition to the corporate space? And why don't you just talk a little bit about give your unique selling proposition for Ring, and why should people use you guys for digital?
Yeah. Well, for corporate or political?
Let's start with political, since this is a podcast on golf and politics.
Yeah. Well, it started with being able to get in front of the people on a voter list, and just those people, not people that look like those people.
Yeah.
You know, you pay a lot of money in politics for you to do these big models, pay 6 figures to get a model voter list, and then it's sorted, ranked, split up into audiences, and you know, this is the persuasion, this is the turnout, this is the message for, you know, message A, this is the audience for message B. And, you know, if you give that to a, you know, traditional digital firm, then when they try to find those people online, they're either going to be trying to advertise to people like that, or they're not going to find all of those people. So our mission has been to get in front of those people, only those people, and as many of those people as possible.
Right.
So when we're matching 80, 85, 90% of any given list, it's, you know, especially when it's been modeled and scored and sorted, and
It's effective.
You know, it's very effective. You know, and we've measured this with before and after surveys and turnout. It just works.
PJ, when you started Ring, was it, you mainly started doing political because that's where your background was, right?
Yeah. We just started with politics, with congressional races. We're doing phone calls.
Right.
You know, Dad was doing polling.
Phone calls. What are those? I don't even know what those are.
Right.
For our audience that doesn't know, PG and I started our business really with auto calls. That was we were robocall warriors, man.
That's right. It was a lot.
Those last few days of the elections, where everyone was dumping money in something. Let's do a bunch of robocalls.
That's right.
We'll make some money there.
Made probably a lot of.
Our unique proposition was we won't steal from you. You want anything to drink?
No, I'm good. Are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, we won't steal
we
from
won't
you.
Cheat
It was a pretty good, and that was a very unique selling proposition
in that
at the
world.
time, yeah.
Right. We'll show you what we're doing and be transparent.
Over here.
Well, I mean, that was good industry research too,
Yeah.
I mean, we started talking to people and saying like, hey, what is it that you're concerned about? What plagues this industry?
And then did you discover right away that you wanted to do corporate stuff as well?
It was a gamble. So my brother-in-law was doing operations for us, but he came out of corporate web sales in Cleveland. And after 2016 presidential, we just had a terrible first quarter in 2017.
Okay.
We're like, we can't do this again.
Yeah.
Like we can't do this like up and down with the political cycle.
A fairway is a reason for me to celebrate. The way I've been spraying the ball lately.
Really, Matt, it's just like all about like, you have one bad experience like that, and you're like, how do we stop going up and down? It's just like 90% of our dollars were coming within 5 weeks before election.
Right, and that's how my business is, and it's been that way. I've just learned to prepare for that. I've been impressed with how you guys, anytime I've tried to venture into the corporate space, we started trying to venture into like doing real estate mail for real estate flippers and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like all that sales effort I'd put to it would take my eye off the ball of recruiting candidates.
Yeah.
Which is our core business. And
it's
a matter of finding the right people, I think, to
you gotta
truly stand up that business. And
I think one of the things about corporate business is finding the right sales guys.
Oh yeah.
I've got a great team of sales guys. I'm always wanting to find more. Some guys came out of print world working for Xerox. Other guys are coming out of like, these different spaces, and they help working to frame up like what we do in a different way. Like we don't even price things at all the same way
as you do political.
Yeah. Like in politics, everyone knows, like, hey, this is like I want to get the number of impressions. I want to pay per impression.
We know what the cost of impression is.
Know what the cost is.
Really, the reason I choose you over other firms is one, this is just my experience, back to our unique selling proposition when we had our telemarketing company.
Right.
You're not going to steal from me.
Right.
The ads are going to get delivered.
Right.
Your pricing is very fair, straightforward up front. The creative team helps put things together quickly, responsive, good reporting. And you do. I think your match rates are better than anybody else's.
They're really good. I mean, in the corporate space, though, like a lot of the guys we're working with, like home bath remodelers, stuff like that, and those guys, they're thinking about leads and lead costs and stuff. So in that industry, in that space, it's like, what am I paying per house?
Yeah.
Or like realtors say per door.
Sure.
So that's what they want to know. Like, well, what's the cost per door? So we've just completely changed that around. Now, internally, operations of a company, like, when you're pricing things like differently like that, can be a little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it can be a little goofy. It's definitely causes consternation sometimes.
Looks good. Keep coming.
Come on, honey.
Oh, baby, you had it.
Nice job.
Okay, for the record, Fritz has yet to hit a shot off the center of the club face, even a little bit. Well, the next question is actually for Alex and Fritz. You both have had pretty massive career shifts. I mean, you were a journalist, and Alex, you were an attorney.
Yeah.
So, whoever wants to hop in with me first, I want to hear about what it was like to switch careers.
My answer is too long. Alex, go ahead.
You're just too honest to be a journalist these days, right?
That's the short answer.
So yeah, you're practicing law in Denver, Colorado, right?
I was, yeah. I was at a mid-sized firm. I was doing kind of all over the board. They had their associates. I was straight out of law school there for about 4 years. And at this firm, you had to go find your own work. So you'd go to each partner pretty much every week and go into each other, hey, do you have any work for me? Hey, do you have any work for me? So you get work in securities and oil and gas once we added that practice. And I did some M&A stuff, but it was all civil.
Okay.
No criminal stuff. So I enjoyed it. I love the law.
All right.
It was great. PJ came out to visit one day, and he had his laptop, and I was billing, I was working. So he came into my office, and he was doing stuff, and he started a conversation with me, and I reached over and I had to pause my timer. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I got to pause my timer. I build by every 6 minutes." And he's like, "That's terrible." He's like, "I got to get you out of this." And it was hard on my health. That firm, and it was a fine firm on average. It's just the place I was put working in pretty high pressure situations, and not incredibly long hours. Just if I messed something up, I'd get balled out.
Right.
And
PJ, right?
Yeah.
That's PJ, that's you. It's just 6 minutes. Like it's a legit 6 minute clock, huh? That you're.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just.
1/10 of an hour.
Yeah.
So here you are.
Oh. All right.
So it just wasn't a great lifestyle. And so, PJ, a few weeks after he came to visit, he'd give me a call. So he gives me a call and he's like, "Hey, talk to Dad, and I want you to consider what would you think coming to work for me, for us." I was like, "Wow, I just spent 7 years of my life building,
Yeah, 7 years at a law firm. That's a.
Well, I spent 7 years of my, going to law school,
yeah.
passing the bar, finding a job. This was,
Where'd you do law school?
University of
It's
Denver.
Denver. Okay.
Titless.
Jobs were not, this is 2012 when I graduated law school.
Yeah.
So there were not a lot of jobs.
Gotcha.
And
I like that.
So I was happy to have a job that was
that's
like,
sharp.
I was making $75,000 a year. I mean, it was nothing. And so, PJ was like, "Okay, listen, we'll pay you the same. You come over and you'll help with the polling, and you maybe, launch a digital thing. We'll see.
Yeah.
But you at least won't go backward." I was like, "Okay, all right." Well, I agonized over it, and I called my buddy who I played college golf with, and he goes, "So let me get this straight. You'd work fewer hours, yeah. You'd see your family more, because you'd work from home, yeah. And you make the same amount of money, yeah. So what's the question?"
Yeah. You want to hop in?
Yeah.
So yeah, when I first met you, you were a reporter for the Toledo Blade.
Yep.
Is that even in existence anymore?
Well, barely, but it's like all newspapers. It's struggled to make the transition to digital, and it's always suffered because of that struggle. It never got ahead of the game. I saw this coming in 2005 after the 2004 presidential election, which I covered coast to coast. I had an unbelievably good job, a great publisher, John Block, and it was just a great situation. But they came to me in 2005 and said, "Your game is going to change. You're going to be on a budget. You're going to have to answer to this person and that person." And that just wasn't the deal that I signed up for. And I knew the industry was falling apart. So I just, I'd already been involved with some political consulting years earlier. I was involved with I was in charge of all the polling for the Blade and some for the Post-Gazette as well. So I just decided to go back into consulting. The deal was I wanted to get all my kids through school, and we did.
Yeah.
So at that point, I had kind of a free rein to go, and I took the jump.
That's great.
Best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
It's been great. I mean, I just can't describe how that has changed our lives, really the lives of everybody here. And PJ is already out and running and doing a fantastic job with you. So that was really it. It was very simple. Already the transition, it's been funny for me because journalism was falling apart. The polling industry that I went into and am still in was and has been changing. And politics has changed dramatically with the advent of the Trump era. So
that's actually my next question for the next hole is to talk about. I mean, covering the Bush campaign in 2004, the re-elect. As a journalist, this is gonna. I'll be very interested to hear some discussion from everybody about how much things have changed in that fashion.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So
I mean, Fritz, you remember in 2010 you had made the transition, and we worked on a race together in Toledo. I mean, I spent hours every week arguing with reporters over stories that mattered. Those stories really mattered.
Yeah,
I haven't talked to a newspaper reporter since last October. Like, it's just,
it's just so different now.
There really is no reason to.
Well, and what's going to change is what you're doing with these podcasts.
Right.
That's journalism is changing because of that.
Most recent survey statewide in Oklahoma, more people get their news from podcasts than newspapers.
Yeah.
13% on podcasts, only 9% on newspapers.
Wow.
And in social media, for a long time, social media has been ahead of newspapers as far as news consumption.
Yeah.
There we go.
Great
There we
putt.
go. Good putt, PJ.
Thanks.
All right, so the next question for this hole, we're going to talk about, we've been involved in politics professionally, or I would say this, either as college Republicans, volunteers, or professionally. You and I have been doing this for a living off and on for 25 years.
Yeah.
A lot's changed.
A lot. Yeah.
What do you, I mean, I want to hear, like, there's not one answer to this, but like, what's the biggest change over the last 25 years? And then what do we think the next big change is going to be another 25 years from now?
The biggest change is probably where the money goes now, right? Instead of party committees, it's outside groups.
Right. Citizens United changed that,
Citizens United. So that's probably the biggest change in terms of how we all, and that changes, like, how campaigns approach, what's the campaign actually responsible for? What are they going to do? What are they supposed to,
And it's hard to know when you can't coordinate. Outside groups.
I know, it's a lot of smoke signals and setting up a flare kind of thing. And
there's been some good court decisions lately, though, when it comes to fundraising and canvassing.
Right, the canvassing,
We're still trying to get caught up in Oklahoma on the law and what exactly is permissible. I mean, there was so many gray areas that everybody was afraid you're going to get charged with a felony just for talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's not coordination. Coordination is, hey, we're spending this much on digital on the campaign side. So we want you to spend this much mail on direct mail on the IE.
And especially with the messaging and the dollars coordination and where things are going, that's, messaging and strategy.
All right, so the question, Alex and Fritz, is PG and I have been doing this professionally for 25 years, and a lot has changed over that time period in politics. What do you think the biggest change has been, and then what do you think the next big change is going to be over the next 25 years?
I was just saying, Citizens United, outside funding, the way where the money flows. Now, Matt, when I first met you, we were getting involved in party politics.
That's right.
Party politics. Like, I was at the state committee, you were chairman of the Belmont County Republican Party, just east of here. So
it really mattered how much money we raised for those party apparatuses.
Yep, they were like the most important because of the direct mail permit. Still important. There we go.
Well, gosh, you got to say the internet, right?
Yeah, the internet's a big deal. I mean,
The internet and social media, how information is disseminated, how people communicate.
I mean, literally, we have a president who uses his bully pulpit with the medium of television very well.
Yeah.
But you would argue that just as big a bully pulpit for him is he walks around and dictates to somebody on an iPhone or an iPad, typing out his tweets,
Yeah.
like as live stream of consciousness, you know, and telling the American people what he thinks about everything.
Yeah.
As executive power is like at its height,
Yeah.
basically after waxing in Bush and Obama years, now you've got executive orders, and the media starting to treat tweets and posts to Truth Social as executive orders.
yeah.
Well, Biden put one out. He was going to change the Constitution.
Oh, yeah.
By tweet.
Don't
Right.
forget about that.
Or X post, whatever you want to call it now. And you know, I mean, I am one thing that, and I love Donald Trump. I mean, I'm a big Trump supporter. My co-host calls me a Trump jock sniffer because he hates Trump. You know, I voted for him enthusiastically. The one thing though that just bums me out as an American, and as somebody that grew up like working for a member of Congress, and somebody now as a consultant for the Senate leadership and the House leadership in Oklahoma. I mean, legislative races are my bailiwick, right? And it pains me to see so much governing done by executive order, because the next president might not be J.D. Vance. It might be somebody of Bernie Sanders' ilk.
Right.
And if he does all these executive orders, then we're just in a constant mode of chaos.
Congressional power is really at a low point right now.
Yeah, and I think I have a lot of reasons for why that is. They're all theories, but it's got to. I mean, Congress has to step up and start governing.
Yeah.
Is my biggest issue.
Yeah, but you have to have consensus between the parties for that to happen.
Right.
We're
Like,
so split down the middle that you can't govern.
like in Oklahoma in the state Senate, I argue we have 4 different caucuses. You've got the leadership and the people that are firmly with leadership. You've got the Freedom Caucus, and then you've got a group of people that just wants to vote and go home and like do some good governing. And then you got the Democrats. Like that's our 4 and it's really hard to govern when you have that kind of fractured body. I think the U.S. Congress is probably the same exact way.
Yeah, it's hard.
And the
because-
Democrats are a mess too. They don't. It's not like they have consensus in their party on
No.
what true leadership should be.
Well, the other thing too, if you think about it, you know, Alex said that the internet really changed things.
Yeah.
I think he's right, but also I think it's going to be making, you know, first-person conversations even more important.
I agree.
Like it's, you know, having a real conversation with a voter is going to.
Candidates have, like, if you're running for local office, you've got to get out and knock doors. Even if you're running for governor or U.S. Senate, there's got to be a door-knocking component, I believe.
Yeah.
And events are going to matter.
And more than that, they'll be more important.
Right. Because I think we went through a phase.
This is mine. I assume we want. Yeah, there's one up there.
We went through a phase where it wasn't. It was more about the advertising, and it's
Mail and TV.
It's still going to be mail and TV and digital and all that, but it also is going to be more, like you said, a one-to-one conversation. That's me. All right.
Well, I think because we do get our, you know, information from everywhere else, it, you know, we're influenced by those things, but it makes it kind of unique, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of unique and special to actually talk to a candidate.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, this is really cool. Like, you're, you know, that's just not something that voters are expecting, maybe. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, and there's with the advent of AI, there's going to be some interesting technology, I think, coming out and becoming more mainstream, where you're gonna train AI to have real conversations with voters.
The problem. I think this is going to be a big deal. But I've read some blogging and I was on a business trip recently with it's actually a business retreat with a bunch of other business owners.
Okay.
And the first thing they were like, "Hey, check this out! Somebody's in the living room, and we're all kind of talking about this, that, and the other guy." And I'm listening to it. They're showing, "Hey, check this video out." And the first thing is like, "Is that AI?" That's the first thing. Like, no one trusts anything.
I know.
That's the problem. The trust is going to go way down.
Right.
And so, like, the advertising we do, I mean, we're going to have to be very clever and very thoughtful about it. And I do think that, like, meeting people in person is going to be like, okay, this is what he really says. This is, it's going to make it even more important. And I'm not in the door knocking business. I'm in the digital business, you know? So it's going to be very, very interesting to see, like, well, one thing about that, all of that, is that it certainly it will make creative I think there's going to be an interesting thing. There's going to be people who are just like really focused on AI creative, and there's going to be other people who are going to be like, yeah, that's AI, and like it's going to turn some people off.
Right.
And I think it's going to make it easier for a while, but until it gets really good, I think
Sure.
it's going to, it's going to take some time. It'll be interesting to see how people use it.
You know, another thing that's changed a lot, when PJ and I were in our early 20s, we'd be working with a candidate, and say the candidate had 12% name ID. Nobody knows who he is. We would do 1,000 gross rating points of broadcast television, and our numbers would pop to 50%. That doesn't work. I mean, I'm not saying broadcast TV doesn't work. You still have to do broadcast TV. You just have to do a whole lot of other things
It's
too.
just so fragmented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's the whole dynamic of college sports is because of how fragmented people are getting information. It's the only thing that people can watch live, and advertisers pay a premium to get eyeballs. I mean, think about it. Like, nobody's watching Seinfeld on Thursday nights anymore.
Right.
They're watching a host of different shows on Netflix or Peacock or.
Yeah, college sports and NFL.
Yeah.
You know, you can make an argument for NBA because the last few seasons have been really interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, trust me, I'm getting calls. Keegan Brayan, who's here playing in the group, he's been on the podcast before. You know, Keegan's one of our media buyers on one campaign we're working on, and you know, Thunder games in Oklahoma, that's a pretty penny to advertise.
I'm sure.
You're getting a lot of live eyeballs that there's nothing else outside of OU Texas and some of those games that get that kind of attention.
Yeah.
You remember when we first started campaigns in, like, I'm thinking like 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, those years.
Yeah.
We would tell our candidates, do not go on social media. Like, don't even use it. Now, if you're not communicating with people on social media, like, are you even a campaign? Like,
Well,
you have to be.
Remember, the posture of everybody was like, if you made a slip up, that could be exposed. But
Right.
what Donald Trump has done is he's made those like little slip ups like fine.
But I don't know though. I mean, it's fine for him because he can do anything and stay popular.
That's
Like,
true. I mean, I'm not saying it won't hurt you,
Yeah.
like, you know, if you say something really horrible, but I'm saying I think there's a little more grace there now. I think it's more like,
I hope so.
People are real and they're like, this is fine.
I had a candidate viciously attacked in a mail piece because he had liked a Facebook post like 4 years before, but he's one of these guys that likes everybody's post because he's
their
a friendly
friend
person
yeah.
and they're involved in something. Like, good for you. And because you liked that person's post, like, it ended up in a mail piece. Yeah, it was like we started this podcast just over a year ago, and right after we started, I'm on vacation in Florida, and it's the night of that debate with Trump and Biden, and they're arguing about their handicaps and who's a better golfer. And I'm like, we started this deal right at the right time.
Well, I tell you, that night of that debate, to go back to your question about this, the night of that debate, I had a candidate, which I won't mention, in my basement. We're watching it together, guy running for Congress, and he is like putting together his Twitter posts, his X posts. He keeps bringing it over to me, It's like, I want to say the wrong thing. I want to say it's just right. High scrutiny race, all these things. Finally, I was just like, dude, like, I want to see your thing anymore. And my kids were there, like, Dad, stop being mean. Stop being so mean. I was like, I told him, I'm like, kids, like, stay out of it. I don't want to see this guy's post anymore. I'm just send the thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, fine. I'm like, it's okay. Yeah. All these things, but they do obsess over it. They want to make sure it's just right. I'm like, I'm trying to watch the debate.
I tell you what, the American people were paying attention to that debate. I was down in Florida, and we had it DVRing because we were at dinner. We're driving home from the restaurant to our vacation house and rental house, and every TV that I could see that was on that debate. Like, bars had that. I mean, it was amazing.
Well, anyone paying attention before that knew that Biden was completely like out to launch, unfit. But that was the first time, I think, where most of like the media wasn't able to cover it up.
Right.
It's a good line.
I like it, guys. If it's there, I didn't hit it. Didn't quite hit it. So your dad's got the old head jacket on.
Yeah.
Old head or Bally Bunny? Which do you prefer?
Well, I so much of golf boils down to the experience you had.
Right.
I shot in the 70s at Bally Bunyan, and I shot in the 90s at Old Head. So,
yeah, there you go.
We played Old Head 2 days back to back. I shot in the 90s both days. And I felt like my game was like, I had no idea what I was doing. I might as well have been out there with a hockey stick. I had no idea.
That's probably why I keep telling everybody that Pinehurst number 10 is the best new golf course in America.
Because you played great there. Right?
Well, if you remember, your brother-in-law was on my team as was 17 or 18 handicap.
Yep.
And he contributes a gross birdie. Plus, he hits his number. Then the guy that Matt Custer works for you, right? He's like a 25 handicap.
Yeah.
He gets a gross birdie. He gets two gross birdies. He shot 115.
Yeah.
But he got 2 gross birdies.
This is an athlete,
Jefferson shoots 79 as like a 10 handicap, and I shot 70 as a 4 handicap. So it was a good day. It was a really good day.
It's a really good day.
So this hole, I want to talk about golf as a business tool. We'll talk a little bit about it as we're warming up today.
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my career where I want to work with more clients that play golf.
That's right.
I have a good book of business, and so we do a lot of work in Oklahoma, and as I grow the business nationally, I'm more interested in working with clients to play golf, because I think there's a great connection that can happen on a golf course. And Jefferson Thomas is a great example of that.
Good
you guys
friend,
and Stephanie introduced me to Jefferson.
Yep.
I never even asked for the business. We just ended up doing all of his direct mail because golf bonded us, and now we're great friends. Our wives are great friends.
Yeah.
So how's it worked for you guys using golf as a tool?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you're out there on the golf course, you're spending a lot of time with people. It's a long. One of the big complaints that I think people have about golf as a sport is that it takes a long time.
Right.
But that's also a blessing. Matt, one of the things that we've done, in that way, is hosted our clients and friends down at Pinehurst for the last 4 years, and
what a great time that was. I appreciate
you
guys having me last year.
Playing
number 2 with you guys was incredible.
Special place, and it's not just the golf thing. You're there with the people afterward,
right?
Playing cards, talking about life.
Yeah, that day at number 10, Fritz wasn't officially on any team, but he played that round with us. Frost delay. They called it a frost delay. It was a straight up snow delay.
Yeah. There was snow on the ground.
Yeah, while we were playing golf, there was still snow.
We walked through snow.
Our 2-man best ball score was so low, I don't think anybody was within 18 shots of us that day.
Well, the thing,
I was telling PJ, that's why I keep telling everybody that Pinehurst number 10 is the best new golf course in America, because I had such a good day that day.
He was asking me Old Head versus Ballybunion, and I said, well, I shot in the 70s at Ballybunion, I shot in the 90s at Old Head, so, your experience is going to dictate a lot.
So the question I'm asking for this hole is, how have you guys used golf as a business tool? And PJ was talking about your Pinehurst.
Is there another sport where you go on a trip like that with 12 guys, 8 guys? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, no one goes to another state just to play tennis or basketball or football for that matter. I mean, they're all the same everywhere.
Matt, playing with Jefferson out in Denver, that started as an introduction from Dad, and we became really good friends.
Yeah.
Just on the golf course, we had an excuse for the business to pay for it.
That's what I just told PJ. But, PJ and my business partner Stephanie Alexander introduced me to Jefferson, and I think you were part of that. And we went and had breakfast, and we hit it off talking about golf.
Yeah.
Now he lives in Tulsa. Our wives are great friends. We've gone on all kinds of trips. We joined a club together, so
yeah,
it's crazy. I never even had to ask for the business. It just happens because golf is a pretty good bonding tool.
Yeah.
Another example of that is, we're down there. I was on another trip with some friends that we do ministry together, Ligonier Ministries.
Right.
And one of the guys down there, Steven, his dad's on the board, and we were in Ireland together. We did Ireland, and you've been there, that. And this guy shows up with his best friend from Chicago, and I've never met this other guy, but Steven is down there on the bottom of the cart path and sees me on top of the green. He says, PJ, both arms up. We both are running to each other, big hugs. Yeah. And the guy's like, so I see you guys know each other, and then he's like, He says, we went to Ireland. We bonded.
That's right.
You know, I mean, it's just like that's.
Yeah, the 7 other guys I went to Ireland with, I didn't know half of them before. And I just played golf on Saturday with 2 of the guys. And this group text thread, I mean, there's texts every week, you know.
Oh, it's great.
And it was a diverse group of people, too, on that
right.
trip. And
Same here.
Nice.
bam,
Nice.
bam, with authority.
Wow.
What about you guys? What kind of other relationships have you built out on the golf course?
I think the number one is our relationship.
Well,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Well, I think about when we were business partners. I mean, those 6:30 a.m. 9-hole walking rounds at the municipal course, it bonded our team together for sure.
That's right.
When I was at my firm, they kind of used me as a, someone's got a golf, Alex.
Yeah, exactly. They need a ringer.
Some client's putting on a scramble. Hey, get Alex out there.
All right, so we're going to talk golf courses now. I want each of your answers, and one of you can ride with me and tell me your answer, but if you could only pick one course to play for the rest of your life. It's not the best course you've ever played, the course you enjoy the most and that you could play every day for the rest of your life and never play another golf course, what would it be?
That's a good question.
I think Sylvania Country Club is up there.
Yeah. Sylvania Country Club. That's where Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer had their first.
Played their first shell match.
Beautiful. Tree line. So before this year.
Sylvania Country Club.
So they've got just.
Is that both of your
huge-
answers?
No.
Okay.
They've just got these huge trees. I mean, they're 150 foot tall oaks
Yeah. All right.
on every hole. They're 10 feet wide, and you back in there and you just feel like you're in another world on the back nine, and these under this canopy, and there's some shots there that just, I don't know, it just felt like what I want golf to be.
I think before this year I would have said Pinehurst number 4.
There's no greens there anymore.
I know. But this year I played number 2, several times now. I think that would be. I love it.
I love number 2.
I love it, and I like the challenge. I know you can score there. You can also get punished.
So Sylvania Country Club, Pinehurst number 2 from PJ. Fritz, let's hop in. Let's talk about your course of play.
I've got a course I could play for the rest of my life. I've got to say Tobacco Road.
Tobacco Road.
In North Carolina. Okay. It's got so much variety. It's eminently playable. And I probably played it a dozen times now, so I'm familiar with it. The problem with Tobacco Road for the first-time golfer is they can't understand it.
Right.
But once you do, to me, it becomes the ultimate test in golf because it challenges your thinking about what you assumed the game was all about.
Right, right.
It's not at all conventional, but it requires such skill. I mean, every club in your bag.
Here, I'll grab it.
And you have to think your way around the golf course, and you have to be a halfway decent putter.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And if you can master those things, I mean, that's the essence of golf.
Sure.
So,
I think that's an interesting take. I don't think that a lot of people would probably say Tobacco Road, but I can see, knowing your game and having played golf with you off and on for almost 20 years, like that's a course that you would have an advantage on, I think, over a lot of people, because you're just so steady and you don't have big misses ever.
yeah, that's true. And
Like
maybe
that right there. That was probably the worst miss I've seen.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to take a guess, boys, on what your dad picked as his course to play?
Top of Scott.
Nope.
Old Head,
Nope.
where he schooled everybody.
Tobacco Road.
Oh yeah. Well, we love that golf course.
That's one I love to play because I score well there.
Yeah, I score well there too. It's so much fun.
I think right now, for me, it comes down to 2 spots. And I kind of have to go with the Florida property because then you can play it year round.
Year round.
If I'm going West Virginia property, Pete Dye to me is just so much fun. Like that is being from West Virginia, that place is awesome.
Yeah.
But to play every day, the park in West Palm Beach.
The park.
It's just awesome. And it's a municipal course. It's just so well thought out. Kids that live in West Palm Beach can play that place for free too. I don't know if they
Oh, no way.
realize how good they have it. Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that has been a real blessing to get around in this stage of my life to play a lot of cool golf courses and check them off my list, etc.
Yeah.
But I find myself torn between this world of like, do I really want to go after and chase playing the top 100 and play all these best courses, or do I want to just find the places I really like and play them again and again? Because you appreciate a golf course a lot more playing it a dozen times.
Yeah.
I mean, like the more I play Briggs Ranch in San Antonio, the more I love that place. I got to hit a lot of different kind of tee shots there.
Matt, if there's one designer that you just hate and will not play, who is it?
I don't have any that I hate. I really don't. I mean, there are things that Pete Dye does that I hate. That,
I think you're in good company with that.
But I've come to, like, instead of bitching about it and complaining, like, he designs really difficult, tough golf courses that and oftentimes, if you take the time to think about it, there's a place to play the ball, and it's not obvious. So you got to figure it out a little bit. There's some what I would think are kind of goofy, but I think it's why I like Pete Dye so much. Other than the 17th green, there's nothing goofy or gimmicky about that place. And you know what? I 5-putted the 17th green the first time I played it, and I parred it the second. You learn to hit it on the right spot on the green.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Fritz!
One time.
Way to go!
Wow.
All right, 2 in a
Way to
row.
go! We're talking about Ireland a lot, so would you guys? What's your favorite course in Ireland? Is Royal County Down?
I'd say yes, followed closely by Old Head.
I didn't get to play
Old
either
Head
of
is
those.
just so special.
Okay.
Off on kind of its own little island, peninsula. And it was, they brought in unbelievable amounts of dirt to build it.
Okay.
And
Which is unusual for an Ireland links course, right?
but this was all just a rock.
Okay.
And then they built it. It's probably got more holes to compete with Pebble Beach than anywhere else in the world. It's just, you have so many shots right on the edge of the cliffs.
This is a major hot take. I would rather play every single course I played in Ireland. I played 10 courses. I'd rather play all 10 of them than Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
People think I'm crazy, but
No, I think you're right.
You go over there, you start
Great courses
realizing
over
there's
there.
so many gems. I mean, what makes
and
Pebble
I
Beach
love the
special?
golf culture there.
Right.
I mean, it's so fresh and pure. People are great.
Well, what makes Pebble Beach, I know this is a mean thing to say, but the things that make Pebble Beach special are the things that are common on every golf course over there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Like, it's just like, that's why Ireland golf is Ireland golf.
Though I say that's my hot take, that I would play every course I played in Ireland before I'd play Pebble Beach again. Part of it too is just like, the cost of playing another round at Pebble Beach is absurd compared to the courses played in Ireland. But I say that, and then I hear an interview with Jack Nicklaus this week, and they asked him the same question I just asked you guys. If you could play one course for the rest of your life, what would it be? Pebble Beach. And so when Jack Nicklaus says that, it makes me think, well, you're probably an idiot for saying that you wouldn't play it again compared to those courses.
However, when you said, what was Alex like? What's the designer you hate the most? Jack Nicklaus.
Now, here's the caveat with that. I obviously love Jack. You can't play his courses for the first time and enjoy yourself.
Right.
You go the first time, you have no idea what's going on. He always builds seconds one way to play. Like he railroads you, and if you don't put the ball where he says to put the ball, you're in trouble.
That's
Number 9, Pinehurst number 9.
Yeah.
Or just like, oh my gosh, like
That one green, I don't know what it was, like 3 or 4. It was a par 5, definitely a 3-shot par 5.
yeah,
And back, the green is kind of nestled back, enormous green.
yeah,
And when, we're lasering the pin, and we're like, okay, it's 148 or whatever it was. You get back there, and you didn't see, it's kind of a blind shot because you're going uphill. You don't see that where the pin was. There's, postage stamp part of the green.
Yeah.
And there's a whole, there's 3 greens.
yeah.
Wow.
And so you get back there and you're like, oh no, the smart shot from 150 is to put it
Gotcha.
below the tier.
Yeah,
That kind of stuff.
Big greens, but within the greens, there's greens.
Right.
That's the thing.
So, PJ, I think what I appreciate about Ireland so much is just the culture. I mean, the golf culture there is great. Most of our caddies were always members at the clubs we
cool.
played at, and I loved how they would talk shit on the other clubs because there's like a real rivalry. And I mean, they would get opinionated, but it was all in good fun. Like, it wasn't trying to tear them down. It was just trying to talk about how their club was the best in Ireland.
That's funny. We were in a pub in Belfast and went up to order some drinks, and the bartender just totally straight face. Where are you from then? From the U.S. Yeah, for the golf? Yeah. That'd be $12.50.
Right.
Have you also noticed there's a huge
Adjusting thing.
there's a huge difference
That'd
between
be $12.50.
between the people from Northern Ireland and the people from Ireland?
Yes.
Massive
yes.
difference.
Yeah.
100%.
You can clearly tell. We had a caddy that was from Northern Ireland at Sandy Hills, Ross Banna Sandy Hills. His name was Rory, and he was just a stick in the mud and like got to ruining our day because he was just grumpy and he thought he was God's gift to golf, and just not jovial as much, And one of our guys, we think he hits a hole-in-one on a 220-yard par 3.
Oh, good shot.
And we start, because it goes behind the hole and disappears, and we start celebrating and going crazy. And Rory's just sitting there with the laser looking at it. And he lets us celebrate for like a couple minutes. It was probably a couple seconds. It seems like a couple minutes. He goes, it's not in the hole like that. And he's like, give me the scope. And we look and see it was like 1 inch. And Nick Kirsch, who hit it, he goes, F you, Rory, just like right to his face. He'd had enough. All right, last question was if you could play one golf course for the rest of your life. This next one is, if you could only take one golf trip to a destination every year for the rest of your life, what is it?
Wow.
PJ, you and I think if you remember right, we started having a little success. One of the first rewards we took a little golf trip to Pinehurst with one of our employees. His father had a timeshare.
That was great.
Yeah, and Fritz came with us, and it was like off-season, February, miserable weather, but like we thought we had arrived. We're taking a destination golf trip, baby.
It was fantastic.
For business,
Right. Yeah, the Carolinas are special. The Pine Needles,
Pine Needles.
The people down there are genteel. They understand the culture, of golfing and things like that. It's a special place. You can't walk very far without running into a golf course down there and run into a lot of good ones. So, yeah, the thing is, Ireland is so special. You go over there, but a lot of it's hit or miss. Whether us Americans were pretty soft. I don't know if we want to play in that crap weather all the time, right?
Yeah. So are you saying Pinehurst is your?
Well, you were the one that actually threw that. I feel like I got more trips than me to kind of figure that out. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I played, Stream Song now 4 times, and it's great place down there. I don't think you can do it year round, obviously.
You know what I would prefer? I think Stream Song would be a next level experience if they had like casitas or houses where the guys could all be like.
They're working
just staying
on
in
that,
hotel rooms is like,
Yeah,
it was great, but I would have preferred to like be able to sit around, play some cards.
That's what makes Pinehurst so special,
Yeah.
right? They do that right. They got the breakfasts, you know, that's a phenomenal.
That's what I love about
breakfast.
there's dormy places. You know, you're in these casitas and you get to really bond with the guys that
Yep.
you're with.
Yep. Yeah,
No, I hear you though. I'm taking more trips to figure it out. I mean, Stream Song's great. I mean, those 3 golf courses are,
they're phenomenal. I
and
mean,
the chain is great. That's a fun place to play. Did you guys play it when you were there last?
the putting course or the par 3?
Well, it's not really. It's like a par.
What is it?
It's par whatever you want to make it. You can play.
No, we haven't. I don't think.
It's a Core Crenshaw. It's 19 holes.
At Pinehurst?
No,
Or are you talking about?
at
At
Streamsong.
Streamsong. No, we didn't. We played the putting course,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, you got to play the chain. It's so good. It just opened last year, I think. All right, Alex, why don't you hop in?
All right.
Let's talk golf trips. PJ's giving a political answer. Hasn't played enough. You know, has more trips to take.
Well, you know, I've been to Pinehurst 4 or 5 times, and twice with you. Been to Stream Song, and I've played. I haven't been on like too many trips. Although I've played. You know, I played a lot in between high school and college, and then in college and stuff. You travel around, play a lot of great courses.
Nice shot, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, we're on track here.
But the setup that Pinehurst has, where you go, like you were mentioning, you go stay in a villa.
Yeah.
That breakfast.
Oh, the breakfast.
I mean,
so good.
You walk in, somebody's playing a live piano.
Oh yeah.
And you're treated like a celebrity. I mean, the hospitality is so great, and then the range of the courses that are there.
Yeah, it's hard to beat.
And if you go off property, you've got Tobacco Road, you've got
Right.
those other Carolina. So
I hear. I mean, I think it would be hard to say anything but Pinehurst.
it's just tough.
The thing about Ireland
top.
is it's not for the faint of heart. Like, there is a lot of travel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna play, we played 10 courses in 8 days. We spent a lot of time on a bus.
Yeah.
We changed hotels 4 times.
The weather's not always going to be,
Right.
you know.
I mean, that being
Super
said, I
friendly.
would do it again in a heartbeat. But I mean, we're at Pinehurst in December, and it's still great. Like, it's not bad. The pine cone. Speaking of Pinehurst, check this out. It's a pretty cool ball marker. I have one. I turned it into a Christmas tree ornament.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
I have a
thing.
golf and politics Christmas tree. So,
Nice.
bag tags and political buttons. Nice.
There
Good
you
putt.
Good putt.
What about you, Fritz?
It's Pinehurst.
Pinehurst,
I mean, there's
yeah.
just in America, there's no other place to go. It's golf Disneyland.
We're about to find out though about Bandon.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this Bandon trip. I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah.
They said be prepared for Ireland type weather. You guys spend a lot of time in Oregon though. I mean, is that how's
Yeah.
it compare to Ireland weather in August? Or we'll be there in September.
It's 15 degrees cooler than
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You know, if not more. It's
You get over the mountains and it's like, you know, it could be 90 in Portland and 63.
Okay.
yeah.
You know,
Got the ocean breeze and the I don't know, all the trees, and the air smells great. I mean,
The
we
air
love
is
the air
amazing.
out there.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, I'm psyched.
All right, so this next question, you guys start thinking about it. If you could pick your dream foursome, but your foursome, I mean, I'm joining you for your dream foursome, I get it. But if you had to pick a better dream foursome with a politician, living or dead, a professional golfer, and a celebrity, who makes up your foursome?
Celebrity, politician, and professional golfer.
Yeah.
Okay.
PJ Celebrity will be a theologian, I'm sure.
hey, why not?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and like part of that has already come true. Part of that dream has already come true.
Yeah.
Playing with Sinclair Ferguson, like we had a great round of golf. A lot of fun.
Well, this is backed up quite a ways.
Yeah, it is. Jeez.
Plenty of time to think about this question.
With celebrities, a little harder for me. I don't know. Donald Trump would be a lot of fun. I count him as
There's your
there's your
politician and celebrity?
Yeah.
Professional golfer?
That's a good question. Probably Rory.
Rory. Interesting.
Yeah, I really, stayed a couple times at my house, so I've got that connection with him.
Yeah.
They treat us
So our
really
listeners
well.
know you live at Muirfield Village.
We used
used
to
to live at Muirfield Village.
Yeah. So
And rented out your house and took a trip to Italy the first time you
first
rented out,
time, yeah. Then they had a great time. My neighbors, he was playing basketball in our front yard, and his wife was like doing chalk on the pavement.
Okay.
And the neighbors are like, "Is that Rory McIlroy at your house right now? What's going on here?" And then she was doing chalk drawing it, like with the kids' chalk and stuff.
He wasn't staying in that house this year, as he skipped the
He
memorial.
skipped it, yeah. But it came back, the next year. Barbara, his assistant, was just like the sweetest. I mean, they're fantastic. After he won the Masters, I texted and they got right back. And
That's incredible.
They're wonderful, wonderful people. So I'd love to.
Well, that's great.
I never got to meet him. Dad, they got to meet him because I was gone, obviously.
yeah.
So, but I'd enjoy that. I think I would love to play. I'd love to play golf with George W. Bush. These are.
So Trump's your celebrity and Bush is your politician. How about that?
Well, and then also I don't know. I've seen some of the football players interest me too. It's hard. This is a hard.
Yeah.
This is a hard.
Yeah.
This is a hard one.
No, that's interesting about you renting your house out. You've been to my house. I'm right on Southern Hills.
Beautiful house.
And so we just got named for 2032. It'll be at Southern Hills PGA Championship.
Yeah.
Back. And people are already talking about renting out the house. And as you can attest to, living so close to the club like you did at Muirfield, me being right at the entrance.
Yeah.
Is
Great
you
opportunity
get a pretty
there.
penny, but it's like I really don't have a desire to not be there. Like I have the fear of missing out.
Right. You want to be
and
there.
hosting people at my house every day, and
Yeah, you want the experience.
yeah, our house was still under construction in 2022, but we still. What was great was our front yard was dirt because we were under construction, so we weren't planning putting sod down until we were done. And so I had all my friends just parking in my front yard and walking in. And we hosted a big brunch on Sunday for our entire staff.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody had tickets. And so many of our staff had never been to a professional golf tournament.
Yeah.
They had a blast. The weather was great. And it's like, I don't want to miss, especially by that time, I'll probably be a member at Southern Hills. Like, I don't want to miss being there.
Right.
For
What
it.
the
But it's-
experience.
But the money that they're talking about, you can command for a house anywhere close to Southern Hills
It's pretty good.
It's pretty hard to turn down.
Yeah, I want to say so it's been some time now since we did it, and I think the reason why Rory took it up so quickly, we weren't even thinking about having a professional player there. We just were going up, It was like we did like $1,000 a night, and that was a bargain, you know. And I know a buddy of mine who
There's been a lot. That's $2,015 probably.
Yeah,
16 somewhere
that's
in there.
right. Yeah. So it's like most of these folks, the closer you are, the more you can demand. A buddy of mine, he was a little closer. He got $2,000 a night.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Like if you're where you are, I don't know how to compare that to like what Muirfield dollars are, and things like that. But I'd say that's like a $30,000 thing. That's
Yeah,
20,
right.
23.
It's hard to
great.
turn down $30,000 for a week.
But then you miss out on.
But you miss out
on what you're there
and then
for.
look, if I, especially too, if I'm bringing clients to the PGA Championship and we're hosting at our house,
Right.
there's an opportunity cost of being away from that and generating more business and developing those relationships. So.
Well, the difference is that, you're talking about a major championship.
Yeah.
And so, it's not, Muirfield is every year.
Right.
So you can make the decision,
Yeah.
Hey, I want to do it this year, I want to do it that. I'll tell you one thing, it is a lot of work. Like even if, our house was newly renovated, down to the studs, beautiful. And we kept it in immaculate shape, but still, like getting a house ready for that, it's no joke. I mean, it's very stressful,
Mm-hmm.
But Rory, he left all kinds of autograph stuff. He left his golf balls there, which have like the roars on
that's
them.
great.
I mean, like hats and everything. And then they wrote like a really sweet note to us and everything. They wrote on the chalkboard. I mean,
Oh, that's great.
so there's some special memories from that too.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, you don't have every year to choose. Like this is a special thing. It's gonna be every 15 years.
Right, right.
It's hard.
Shambu has gently reminded me that I'm going to be 50 years old when the PJ Championship comes back to Tulsa. Thanks a lot, son. Appreciate that. All right, so PJ, his celebrity is Donald Trump, his politician is George W. Bush, and his golfer is Rory McIlroy.
Well, I'd like to watch that foursome.
I was just thinking about
Bush and Trump and
the
St.
tension
Yeah,
between the tension between Bush and Trump.
Yeah.
It would be great.
All right.
Oh, jeez.
You had plenty of time to think about it. I mean, these guys, we've been waiting here a while.
Yeah. I mean, politician, just from a person standpoint, just a personal standpoint, I admire Dan Crenshaw a lot.
Okay.
I don't know if he plays golf though. I mean, Bush would be a ton of fun. He's,
You were a White House intern, just like, right?
yeah, I was on staff actually.
On staff?
In correspondence, I was a peon. but I
PJ,
was
you were an
there.
intern, right?
Yep, I was an intern.
intern.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got to meet him 3 or 4 times, and I think if I have to pick a politician,
Okay.
Bush is up there, I guess.
All right. Gonna play fast too. Play with President Bush. Him and his father both played very fast.
Celebrity. It's hard because I don't know who plays golf, so it could be a 6-hour round.
I was thinking of Travis Kelce would be fun.
Sure.
I'd like to some inside baseball there. Figure out what's going on. Tell me about everything.
It's got to be awkward to be a celebrity like Tom Brady or Travis Kelce, and Tom Brady ended up being married to somebody more famous internationally than he is.
Right.
Actually, and same with Travis Kelce. Like, she's way more famous than he is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. How do you deal
Interesting
with that?
dynamic, I'm sure.
Right. That makes for great course talk.
Yeah.
You know what? Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I got to enjoy.
Good golfer.
Good golfer.
Hit one off the house at Muirfield.
Yeah,
I
and
could
still
relate
won the
to.
Pro-Am, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Right?
They said after he hit that first shot, he played really well.
So,
Did they do that on the first hole?
Yeah, first hole he hit one off the house.
so great guy. I got to watch him in Denver and watch the Super Bowl victory, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And to get behind, and to hear how he transformed that team, and even with different coaches, coming in and out, it's he was kind of a constant there, and I think he's a believer.
Yeah.
And everybody agrees he's a wonderful guy.
Right.
So I think I'd have to say Peyton for my celebrity.
A pro golfer?
I would want someone who's going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Who's not going to take themselves too seriously. And I thought about Joel Damon.
Oh, they're Joel Damon.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
He'd be on my short list for sure.
Yeah. So I think he would just be there and be like, "Isn't this a great time?"
Oh, yeah.
Hey, wow.
You see him
We're
on
having
his social
fun.
media content stuff. He's great. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just got a great personality.
Yeah. So I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I think Bernard Langer
Oh yeah.
would be the golfer. I'd like to play with Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Different generation
Yeah.
from these guys. And John Boehner.
Oh yeah. That would be. I mean,
I think that'd
Boehner
be a
would
lot of fun.
fantastic. Yeah.
And
Just to hear the inside stories.
And he's a
In
golfer.
between cigarettes.
Yeah.
Right.
His cigarettes, not mine.
we had a guest on the podcast talking about playing with John Boehner, who's actually a very good friend. His name's Rich Levine. He's a good friend of Donald Trump, and he played with John Boehner, and he said he smoked an entire pack of cigarettes and meticulously put them out and collected them all and cleaned up after himself after the round.
Wow.
Left no cigarette butts anywhere. There was no sign of it. He said just class act, like didn't act like, well, I'm Speaker of the House so I can throw my cigarette butts wherever I want. Man did smoke a lot, and still does smoke a lot of cigarettes, I'm sure.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'd be a good foursome.
Who's the congressman from Georgia, who's just absolutely hilarious? They're talking about running for statewide. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, he's got a great social media presence as well, and just a funny dude. Really good conservative guy. I've got Collins, maybe. It's not Doug Collins, obviously. but maybe a new Collins. But anyway, he's coming up and comer and a hilarious dude on X. Always posts. He's like, my comms director is away for the weekend. She's on vacation, so now I'm going to be posting my own content. And like, you know,
great.
he's always doing this. It's really fun. Really fun stuff. Mike Collins, yeah. Mike Collins, Joel Damon. I mean, it would be a hilarious day.
That's the thing. You got to think through putting together the right group. Like, I think Bush and Trump would be an awkward dynamic.
I think it'd be a lot of fun. Like, I'd love to watch them be.
Like,
awkward.
I'd love to play with Larry David.
Oh my gosh.
But like, I couldn't put him in the same group with Trump probably,
Right.
because
Right.
I think Trump would treat him fine. I think Larry David maybe would be
Probably
some animosity.
Probably just have some asshole comments, you know.
But I mean, the golf stuff on Curb Your Enthusiasm is too funny. You can just hear him making comments about the slow play right now.
Who's he playing with? Just the other day, like I just saw an Instagram reel with Larry David. He's playing with a lady. She hits out of the woods. He comes. He's just like, "You find your ball?" And she's like, "Yeah, it was just I found it." And he was like, "You were way into the woods."
It was the woman from Full House that went to prison.
That's it.
You're lying for her kids to get into USC.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she's like,
What's her name? I can't think of her name right now.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And then she was like, "I had a good lie." And she walks away. He looks at the camera. He's like, "Yeah, you did."
That's just the other episode. There is when he's on the tee box waiting, and the deaf actor, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's out in the fairway, and they're like, "What are you waiting for? Hey, you can never reach him. We sit in the fairway. I need to wait." "Oh, you never reach him." Hits this bomb, you know, and he goes like this instead of yelling for her. Hits him right in the back.
Oh no.
You know, I hear what you're saying about Joel Damon. Like, Rocco Mediate would be fantastic.
Sure.
Like the stories.
Yeah.
He just got so much personality.
The thing on the Full Swing episode, or one of the early ones, season 1, Joel Damon, he's at Wedgwood Country Club, which is, you know, where my house is, and he plays even on the front. His caddy gets all pissed at him. We can make some birdies today. Actually, maybe he played Kinsale in the morning and then like.
Yeah, and then had to play in the afternoon, and he thought he had no chance of
No
making
chance,
it, so
and
he's
so
drinking high noons.
He's
or
drinking
whatever.
high noons, and the guy's like, "Yeah, that's gonna help."
Yeah. He goes out and shoots like 63.
Right.
And makes the U.S. Open, and it almost wins that year in the U.S. Open.
Yeah, crushes Wedgwood.
Who is this?
Joel Damon. He shoots.
Yeah, he literally thought there's no chance he's going to qualify, so he gets half lit at lunchtime.
I think he played Kinsale in the morning, so I mean, not as much opportunity there for scoring. And the caddy's like, "Are we gonna make some birdies today? Like, we're gonna do something or what? What's gonna happen?" And then Joel's like, "Take it easy, take it easy. I'm just, you know." They start drinking high noons. The caddy's like, "That's gonna help."
And he finishes like 3rd or 4th that year at the country club in Brookline.
You know, that episode, I think they had a contrast with Koepka. They did the same episode with Koepka. Yeah. Here's a man who's got everything. There's floating in the swimming pool, probably a $25 million house, fiance there, and they just seem so unhappy. Unhappy. And then they're like clipping over to Joel and his wife, and they kind of just look like an average American couple, and they're reading the Bible and happy as can be and just thankful for life and kind of goofy. And
Yeah, time.
Great putt.
Very nice.
The last question for our 9 holes, 9 questions. I think this is the 9th hole we played. Do you believe that the Republicans in Congress will get the Trump agenda passed? And do you think that the Republicans will hold on to the majority in the midterms?
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes. What makes you bullish on that, Fritz?
I think it boils down to survival instincts. The Senate, I think the noise you're hearing pre-vote in the Senate is just for home consumption.
Okay.
There's no way Johnson's going to stand in the way, Ron Johnson. And then I just think the 2026 election is going to be unlike any normal midterm because you've got Donald Trump. So
Right.
it's all different. It's all in play. And I don't think you can go back to any
hit it
script
first,
and
or
say
what
it's
do you
going to
hit?
be just like this.
I've been hitting 5, but it's too much now.
Are you gonna hit first or do you hit last usually? You hit first or last?
Yeah.
Usually hit last.
Okay.
There's only 2 groups that have that.
How much do we have to pay you?
$10 a ball.
$10.
What's the game?
$10. If we want him to hit shots, $10.
Okay.
Good. I'll pay you $10 to hit one for us. I don't have the money with me. I'll
I can run down and grab.
Obviously, your dad's bullish. Are you bullish?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Democrats are so disorganized right now. I think they're gonna get the Trump agenda passed. Like, it's a sad thing that, like, you know, they can't do more on the national debt because eventually somebody's gonna have to deal with it, but it's gonna be in a catastrophic way.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem. It's like our kids, or probably when you and I are like 60,
Right.
we won't have Social Security because they'll cut out Social Security. You know, basically, they're gonna have to.
It's
do
the only
something.
way to. I mean, that's the one place where Rob and I probably have agreement on our podcast. is
They got to do something. I've heard Rob talk about the debt, and
it's-
I think he's right about that.
I mean, I get it when for political reasons, you say you're not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, but like you have to. Like, I mean, I don't know long term if there's a way
I think the
around.
Medicare is probably the more important thing to try to preserve as much as you can.
Yeah. Thank you.
Healthcare in general is a problem though. Like,
Well, we've gone the wrong way on it. We've made it harder for everybody. The exchange offers are terrible. It's just really bad.
oh come on, find it!
I mean, that was
Good
right
run.
on the line.
Matt, I'm really curious about your question. I think we hold on in 26.
Okay.
But, as to whether the Trump agenda gets passed, I think it's going to be a really interesting division of the wheat and the tares there, so to speak. Because on one hand, you're not going to see as much. I don't think there's going to be as much pressure because as much pressure to line up with Trump, unless there's a really aggressive primary, a push to primary folks who don't line up. But both because of his age and term limits, he's going to, he's lost a little bit of power in the future and lost a little bit of control. So I'm curious to see how it shakes out with people who haven't necessarily expressed themselves as, major Trump supporters.
Right.
And I think that's going to define really Trump's lasting impact on the party is how that group behaves in the next year and a half.
The Senate is those senators can be like, listen, I just got elected. I'm not for 6 years, and if J.D. Vance is going to push me around, I'll be damned. You know what I mean? Like, you're just a kid.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how they kind of like throw their weight around.
Yeah.
The House is another matter. I mean, they're always thinking about their next
Right.
meal.
Yeah.
But
the Democrats aren't making a good argument right now as to why people should vote for them next year.
Right.
Yep.
I would agree with that.
And so they're not feeling as much pressure as they might.
Yep.
So I'm fascinated to see what shakes out. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a harder push now than in his first term.
Sure.
Could be good. Now come back.
Come on.
Yeah, good shot.
Good stroke.
Wow.
You hit it right where you wanted to.
Yeah. Well, Gentlemen,
Yeah, that was a.
I don't think we're going to reach our goal of 18 under all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to close down our episode here. Alex,
Thanks for having us on.
Fritz,
Hey, really enjoyed it.
PJ,
Thank
as
you.
always.
Yeah, it's a great time.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know we did. We're not going to keep filming because we're not going to hit 18 under now. So, but we're going to have a good time, and just want to encourage everyone, check out the Nightbirde Foundation. They're doing great work for women that are going through breast cancer, and we just appreciate the opportunity to come out here and play the Virtues Golf Club today and have a great time and good fellowship and a lot of good insight in politics, golf, and travel, and business. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And thanks to the Ring Wenzel guys for coming on, and tune in and subscribe.